What is up, team? Welcome back. This is the first video for our class. Welcome to the I Teach Math channel on YouTube. I told you that I had a channel and we're getting this going. This video is going to be on the assignment that we are working on in class um, last period. And I just kind of want to dissect it with you and give you a little bit of an opportunity to take some notes if you'd like, and then review this video if you'd like. First and foremost, in the activity, you were given a square that looks just like this. It was called Playing with Probabilities. And the first 5 questions asked you to find the probability of hitting various colored squares. If you remember, we're throwing a dart at this board and we want to hit various colored squares. But in order for us to answer some of these questions, we need to start talking about some important things. The first one is, what the heck is probability? Well, probability, the first thing we can think of is how likely something is to happen. How likely something is to happen is exactly what probability is. So every time we talk about probability, we want to see how likely something is to happen. That something is also referred to as an event. And so oftentimes we're trying to look for the probability of some event. This scenario can actually be written a little bit differently and more in terms of kind of different notation. P is going to stand for probability. Exactly what is the probability of an event? So we're going to use notation that looks something like this to help us look at the probability of some event happening. So in this case, we have the probability of us hitting the green square or green tile. Here we have the probability of us hitting the blue. Here we have the probability of us hitting red, probability of us hitting yellow. Probability itself, how likely something is to happen, is also written in 3 different ways. 3 different ways to represent probability. The first way is a fraction. And fractions are always going to be the easiest. A fraction is going to be the easiest way to not only represent a probability, but the easiest way to organize what you're trying to find. And that fraction is going to be written as the number of things we want to happen. So in this case, let's say we want green tiles to happen. So the number of green tiles we want over the total number of options. Now we're going to do an example in just a little bit to kind of show you how you can create this fraction. But once you have a fraction, or let's say we have an easier scenario such as flipping a coin, you can convert that into a decimal. Once you have the decimal, it's really easy for us to then change that into a percentage. Now, in the event of the problems that we're going to be going through, all 3 of these, no matter how you represent your answers, are all going to be correct to me. So I don't mind which way you submit your answers, whether or not you find a fraction, whether or not you find a decimal, whether or not you find a percentage. All 3 of these ways that you're going to represent a probability are going to be correct. So let's look at an example of how you can write it those 3 different ways. And in this case, we're going to look at the event flipping a coin. And more specifically, I want us to find the probability of flipping heads. Now, as many of us may know, a coin has 2 sides, heads or tails, and the heads appears on 1 out of those 2 sides. 1 out of 2, if we actually complete this math, 1 divided by 2 is also 0.5, which is the same as having 50%. And so here I would accept any of these 3 answers if you're going to put this onto a test or a quiz. Now, because these videos only can be 5 minutes long, I'm going to have to postpone the next one and actually going over this assignment in the next video. So go catch me there and we'll walk through this problem together and take a couple more notes.